Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. My guest today, Renee Diment Phillips. Hello.
Yes. Hello, how's it going?
Very, very well. Great to see you. Thank you so much for your time on a close to Christmas time. So it is appreciated, and it's great to be able to catch up with somebody else just before we take a bit of a break.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thanks for having me. I'm honored to be on.
That's great. So let's before we start talking about Beyond the Body and all the other stuff that you do, can we just start with a huge congratulations for winning the PT of the Year 2024?
Thank you. Yeah, it's honestly such an honor to win that award. I feel like 10 years of hard work in the industry. And then I finally made the decision to actually enter the awards this year. And hey, I won it. It was
You did.
amazing. I just
You
feel
did.
so honored to have received that award.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. It's a well coveted award, and I think, when you look at the people that get to those finals, there's not a lot between them. It's fine. I wasn't involved with the PT category this year. I was judging the up and coming and one of the others. So didn't have the pleasure of seeing all of you guys come through that final stage. But it's it's a fine line. It really is. And I
Yeah.
think for the person who stands out and wins it on the day, there's that X factor potentially that is there that the others don't have, and clearly that's something that you've got. So I think this conversation is going to be really good because there's lots of questions for me to ask, but it's going to give people a sense of what, how winners operate, what they've done in their business, what does set them apart, and some of their psyche. That X, like I say, the X factor, I think, is probably the best way of describing it. So, did you? So you put yourself up. You nominated yourself.
Well, I got the email from Exercise New Zealand,
Yeah,
where they say, do you want to put yourself forward for PT of the year? And I thought
yeah,
to myself, you know what? I've been in the industry for 10 plus years now. I'm going to give it a go and just
nice.
see what comes out of it. I didn't have like a high expectation for myself. I just wanted to give it a go and see what happened.
Yeah.
And then the process was actually quite lengthy. There's quite a lot involved.
Mm,
You have to fill out your like stage one, you're filling out your initial questions. You have to make a few videos. Stage two, it's even then more in depth. So there's quite a lot of work that goes into it.
mm,
I created so many videos and created so many different paragraphs describing who I am, what I do, who I serve, things like that. So
yeah.
to actually come out the other side and win that award, I'm like, wow, that hard work of all of that, filling all those questions out and everything, it really paid off.
Yeah, yeah, it did. And it is worth taking the time, right, to consider what they're looking for and not just sort of
Totally.
slap something down and come back to it and read it again and refine those videos and really give it your absolute best polished version.
Absolutely. And for me, I felt as though creating the videos and actually answering all those questions, even though it was a lengthy process, for me it felt quite easy. And I say that because I feel so aligned with what I'm doing and
Right.
I believe in what I'm doing. And so for me, yes, it was a lengthy process and there was a lot of work involved, but I found it really quite easy flowing, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of what I'm doing and I know my vision and I
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, I'm
Yeah.
clear on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good insight because, like you say, you've been doing it for 10 years and you've been able to refine your craft. And when we start in this industry, we kind of we're not sure who we serve, and so we kind of try and serve everybody. And it's those following years where we realize that this is something we're going to keep doing, and then you
Yeah.
start to niche down and you find your thing and you find the clients that give you the most energy and you love working with. And you
Absolutely.
just, like you say, you're aligned. Everything is where it should be, and that sense of purpose is really strong.
Absolutely. And that is one thing that I think all of us in this industry go through at the start. Like you said, you start off, most of us in a gym going, I don't know what I'm doing. I
Yeah,
don't know where to start. Am I supposed to be here? You have all of this fear,
yeah,
around what you're doing. And you start to just train everyone and anyone who comes in your
mm,
way because you just think, I've got to build a client base. I don't know where
yeah,
how I'm starting.
mm,
But if I was to have my time again and I knew what I knew now, I would niche down from the start.
yeah,
I would figure out who it is I want to serve and I would focus on that one particular niche so that I can build a client base faster and
yeah,
more
yeah,
effectively. And 20, 19-year-old me would have been like, whatever, no, I've just got to train everyone. But 30-year-old me is like,
yeah,
no, try and find a niche as soon as you can
mm,
and
mm,
really hone in on that space. And it's okay if it changes. It may change along the
mm,
way. That's
Mm.
totally fine. Just because you've chosen one niche doesn't mean you have to stick there forever.
Yep.
But figuring out who you're serving is going to make your message clear. It's going to help you with your clarity as to what you're doing, and it's going to
Mm.
help you to grow your business a lot more
Mm.
effectively.
That's great advice. I think that's absolutely spot on. So, tell us a little bit about Beyond the Body, Renee, and it clearly does, reading your website and sort of absorbing some of your social posts, it does feel like you're very aligned, and it almost feels as though you're so this is such important work to you that it's like it's a journey you've been on yourself by
Absolutely.
this is my sense. And the amazing wisdom that you've picked up as a result of this has made you this super coach in this particular area. And people are really benefiting from that. Is that a fair summary?
Absolutely. 100% everything that I am teaching my clients and my followers on socials and people who come across me online has come from my past experience, backed with obviously things that I've learnt
Mm,
in my studies and things like that
mm,
as well.
mm.
And the reason why I'm so keen on training women and helping them to align themselves with their natural biology, because the more and more and more I learn about the menstrual cycle, the more and more I get passionate about helping other women to understand this too.
Mm.
Because there's been a lot of times in my own journey, but also other clients that I've worked with on their journey where they've felt frustrated with themselves. They haven't seen results one week. They feel like they can't push hard in the gym one week versus other weeks. And
Yeah.
they get really guilty and cut up about it. And rather than actually just understanding what's going on within their body and their hormones and what's actually happening and understanding that and giving themselves a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Just not feeling guilt around not being
Mm,
able to do
mm.
things that week or that whatever. Just understanding how their rhythms work and teaching other women about this method and about themselves more so from a biological point of view has helped a lot of my females overcome that guilt and overcome that shame around
Right.
me who's been able to give it 110% in the gym. You
Yeah.
know, like women are so different to men, and we definitely need a different type of nurturing and a different type of coaching than
Mm.
let's say what a male would need. And so this has definitely been groundbreaking for a lot of my clients to understand. I have got women in their 30s and 40s who didn't even know what a luteal phase was in their cycle. You
Right.
know what I mean? And they've had their period for the last 15, 20, 30
Mm.
years.
Mm.
So to help women understand this about themselves has helped them to train more effectively, has helped them to be more consistent, which is obviously the most important thing we
Yeah.
want for our clients, right? Is we want them to be
Mm.
consistent with what they're doing
Mm.
because they understand the natural rhythms of their body and how it works. You
Yeah.
know, rather than giving up because they had one quote unquote bad week, they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, why am I feeling this way? Okay, I'm about to get my period. That explains it. I'm just going to be a little bit easier on myself this week. Do what
Yeah.
I can. I'm showing up in some form. If that movement is stretching, I'm still showing up, and that keeps them in momentum and that keeps them consistent. And they
Mm.
see their
Mm.
results over time with that. And that's what I've really
Great.
loved about changing this, you know, my perspective on training around the natural rhythms of the female biology.
Yeah. Love it. And I suppose you need to know. I mean, nutrition is a seems to be a key component, right?
Yes.
I suppose you need to know where things are at in terms of their cycle before you can intervene.
You can, yeah, definitely. So with my clients, I send them out. So the ones that I don't see, and so I'll explain a little bit about how my
Yeah.
business model works, and that might
Sure.
help understand a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So I have a hybrid approach, where I train some people in person,
Yeah.
and then I train a lot of my other people online. And when I say I train them online, I create them programs, their nutrition plans, and things like that, set
Mm.
it up through my coaching app, and
Yeah.
away they go. Every single week, I do a check-in form. And on that check-in form, one of the questions is, where am I at in my cycle?
Right.
So all the other biofeedback that I get from those clients, it'll help me to understand why something's happening if that answer to where they're at in their cycle is luteal phase, menstruation, ovulation,
Mm.
follicular. That
Mm.
might sound like a different language right now, but
Sure.
and I know where they're at in their phase and their cycle. It helps me to understand what's happened with that biofeedback, why it's so good, why it might be a little bit on the negative side.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm always checking in with my clients to figure out where they're at.
Mm.
When I see people in person, one of the first questions I'll ask them is, right, where are we at in our cycle?
Yep.
And so when I have that understanding, I know, okay, this person, we're able to hit some PBs today because they're in a really good headspace.
Yep.
Um, I'm not feeling good energy from them. Okay, I know just to help them move their body today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm always kind of seeking that biofeedback from my
Mm.
clients so I know what advice to give them or I know, how to push them, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
does.
just that
Absolutely.
constant knowing as to where someone's at.
Yeah. It's good. It's a great check-in to have before you start a session. And
Yeah.
so if somebody's cycle is disrupted, if it's not following a neat textbook pattern,
Mm.
is nutrition enough, or are there other factors that you need to sort of intervene on to help get them back to a healthy rhythm?
Yeah, so when I'm doing my initial consultation form, which everyone should do when they're first,
Mm.
working with a client, one thing I will ask in there is, do you get regular periods? And if they say no, I ask more information as to why.
Right.
Either someone's going to say they've got PCOS,
Yep.
either someone's going to say they've got endometriosis,
Yep.
and someone else might say unknown. And then in that
Mm.
case, I
Mm.
would ask for them to go see their GP so
Yep.
they can get an understanding as to why that's happening through
Mm.
blood tests or whatever that it looks like.
Yep.
Or I would just ask them to elaborate a little bit more on those conditions before I start working with them. Once
Mm.
I know where they're at,
Mm.
understanding if someone is dealing with PCOS or endometriosis, I'm able to then grasp a little bit more of like how I'm going to work with this client, knowing that the periods are probably going to be late and there might be weeks where things are pretty crap.
Mm.
And just moving the body is going to be really important. The key thing, though, with these particular types of females is to help them move their body. Because one of the most powerful things that a woman can do to help their hormone health is strength training and
Yep.
building their body mass.
Yep.
So we don't want them to not exercise. We just need to find a way to help them move their body. That might be a gentle approach one week, but it doesn't mean they can't go hard the other week. You know what I mean? It really
Yeah.
just depends on how things are working with them.
Sure.
From a nutrition point of view, we definitely want to help the clients understand how important protein is, how important good fats are, and just making sure that they're getting their carbohydrate sources from a variety of vegetables,
Yep.
fruits, and limiting the gluten and the whole
Sure.
grains because their bodies are working a little bit differently to a woman
Mm.
who's got a regular cycle. So
Gotcha.
obviously, yeah, in that consultation form, I'm really finding out as much information as I possibly can about each
Mm.
individual as to how I'm then going to approach their sessions. This journey for everyone is so tailored to each individual. You can have the coolest app with a cookie cutter plan. It's not going to be as effective as actually
Mm.
working with a coach one
Mm.
on one who's going to be able to build you an effective plan and strategy to help you with your overall health and well-being goals. And I also, women with PCOS and endometriosis, they're not like that's not them forever. They
Mm.
will and they can make improvements through building lean body mass and understanding how important, their dietary requirements are.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a process, it's a journey, like
Yep.
everything.
Yeah. 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 And so the pathway out of endo and PCOS, is it very much not as each other, but the way in which you would help somebody, would it be very much the same, or are there multiple ways of helping them come back out of those situations?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So a lot of my clients who have had endo, it actually end up with surgery, and they
Okay.
undergo the endometriosis surgery.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of clients this year that have actually had that surgery and come out the other side with a really good result and
Right.
more regular periods and less pain. Some have had that and they're still in a lot of pain when they get their periods. It's
Mm.
not as good. Everyone's really different
Mm.
with their
Mm.
results. But after that, and after they've had their recovery, then we just get them back into strength training, regular again, moving their body again, eating well. So everyone's kind of different in that
Yeah.
regard, but most women with endometriosis end up with some kind of surgery to help, especially
Yeah.
if the goal is wanting to have children.
Sure. Sure.
PCOS is different. You can reduce the testosterone levels in the bloods through strength training and making sure they reduce body fat around their middle, which is what
Yeah.
happens to a lot of women with PCOS.
Yeah.
And it's just it really depends on the individual as well and where they're at in their mindset, where they're at in their life, as to how
Mm.
quickly they're
Mm.
going to see that result.
Mm.
So yeah, again, everyone's just so different. As long as
Yeah.
they are working with someone one on one that is giving them good advice and helping them to get there, they're going
Mm.
to see a great result eventually. It's just
Fascinating stuff.
patience.
Yeah. 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 Everyone wants a quick result though, don't they?
I know.
Um, so is your understanding of these, is this wrapped up in the nutrition education that you did, or have you done something separate to the nutrition education as well?
Good question. So when I did an exercise physiology paper at Massey Uni, I did a diploma in science just to like understand a little bit more about certain aspects of science.
Yeah.
And it also helped me bridge into the nutrition side of things. I did an exercise physiology paper and I had the most incredible lecturer. She was so incredible that I even got her to come and speak at my gym and talk to the other women about the knowledge she had around the
Yeah.
menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And so after learning from her, I just dove deeper into my own research
Mm.
and applied my knowledge of strength training and nutrition to help women understand
Right.
their biology more.
Mm.
Now,
Mm.
naturally, what's happened with that, I've had women that get regular cycles and just need to understand what's actually going on within their bodies. And then I have had a lot of women come through that have got the PCOS or the endometriosis wanting to just feel better within themselves. So
Mm.
that's kind of like just being like a natural, it's just all
Mm.
kind of naturally fallen into place
Yeah.
as I speak about these topics a lot more. Yeah, I guess it's just happened. But after having that semester with that lecturer, I was just so inspired to really dive deeper into this. That's
Brilliant.
probably where it started for me. And
Yeah.
I guess as someone who's always been really in tune with her body, and I've always taken the holistic route for things, always have been tracking my own cycle since I was like 18, and
Yeah.
just really understanding where it's at. I think
Mm.
just naturally, yeah, it's just all fallen into place.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
suppose it's knowledge you've needed as you've followed this path, right? And
Yes, absolutely.
you just acquire it along the way, and you get the
Yeah,
answers you need for the people in front of you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been very organic, which has
Mm.
been really nice.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Fantastic. So we've got the nutrition component, we've got the cycle sync, which obviously is a thing in itself in terms of
yeah,
your services. Or I suppose we've touched on that a little bit, but it's probably a lot more than just checking in on people when they arrive, right? It's actually
yeah.
helping them understand because there's not the education around this stuff is really poor, isn't it? Like
It's very fresh.
at school it's almost non-existent. You skim over it.
You
And
do.
then if you need to know anything else, you've got to go look for that yourself, really, haven't you?
You do. And the thing is with at school, right, they're going to teach you about you're going to get your period at some point in time. Um, you can use a tampon, you can use a pad. Here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
You get a real brief understanding as to what contraception you can go on.
Mm.
So, in my opinion, you're very much suppressing the female's natural biology by just saying, this is what's going to happen, do this, shut up and carry on and get on with
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
It's
But there needs to be a hell of a lot more education
yeah.
around what's actually happening in the body because this is going to help a lot of women understand why certain times in their career, certain times is in their workout, certain times in just general life, they
Mm.
feel the way they feel.
Mm.
But I do want to make one thing clear. Yes, there are certain times of your cycle that are going to affect your moods, it's going to affect your strength and your capability and ability to be able to do certain things. However, it doesn't limit you. Because when you're in a really healthy position, like myself, for example, I might get to pre-menstruation and I'm still exercising and sometimes even still hitting PBs. So it
Right.
doesn't limit you to not being able to do certain things.
Mm.
It's just giving you this beautiful awareness as to why certain things might not always work the way you had hoped them to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really important that women don't limit themselves. So, for example, they get to their late luteal phase just before menstruation and they're like, oh, no, I'm in late luteal phase. I'm not going to work out because I'm due for my period, but they're actually feeling okay.
Yeah.
Don't want to use that as a reason as to why they shouldn't move because movement
Mm.
is important no matter what. But if they were genuinely feeling rubbish and their mental health wasn't in a good state and they were starting to self-doubt themselves and just have all this fear around certain things they were doing, that's when we'd go, okay, well, maybe it is time to just actually go a little bit inward and rest. So it's important to understand this knowledge, but not let it limit you to actually doing things just because you're at a certain point in your,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
totally does because a sort of a comparison or simile to that would be, only listening to the data on your wearable
Yeah.
and not tuning into actually how your body feels.
Absolutely.
Even if it
Yes.
says, oh no, readiness at 10,
Yeah.
instead of 90, you go, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not going out for a run today. Well,
Yeah.
probably feel it doesn't always match, right? So
No.
it helps us to be aware of the theory, but we also need to understand the reality of
Absolutely.
what our bodies are doing and how we feel this month compared to last month.
Absolutely. And every month is going to be different, right? And it always comes back to that key thing of just listen to your body.
Mm,
Don't
mm,
listen to your mind, listen to
mm,
your body from what your core is telling you you need to do.
mm.
That is the most
And
important thing.
and that sort of links back beautifully to nutrition, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
we've become so detached from the ghrelin and leptin functions that
Yes,
we just use the clock. And
we
it's like,
do.
oh well, it must be time to put something in my mouth. Well,
Yeah.
do you want to? Are you
Yeah.
hungry? When did you last eat? What have you got planned for the next 6 hours? It's we've lost touch with that too, and it's
We
that
have
whole intuition bit. They're designed to send those messages, but we don't often listen.
100%. No, we don't. We are again, this might sound a little bit like, I don't know, not PC, but we've lost touch with who we are as humans because of the way society is driven.
Yeah, yeah,
So this is true for women especially, and I know I'm talking about women a lot, but that's because I guess that's my
that's
niche, right?
cool.
Is
Yeah.
women. The 9 to 5 work schedule was not designed for everyone, let's in fairness, but especially for females.
Mm,
Because there are certain times of the month where our hormones are actually affecting us in a way that we don't want to be sociable, or we shouldn't be putting all our energy into finishing projects right now or having massive meetings right now because our energy is telling us we need to do otherwise.
mm,
You might get a sudden urge to actually want to organize your calendar, organize your desktop, organize your house, organize your space because you're in this phase in your cycle, which I call autumn phase, where
mm.
that's what you want to do more, which surges over you needing to actually finish a project or start a project because that's what you need to do at work.
Yeah.
So the 9 to 5 work schedule really is not
No.
designed for us as humans, and that is why we are so unhealthy. That is why we're literally have the obesity rates are surging through the roof right now.
Yeah.
The reason why people have so many health conditions because we're literally waking up, scrolling on our phones, getting in the car, quickly scoffing down some processed breakfast,
Mm.
driving to work, sitting in traffic, feeling stressed and overwhelmed, going to work, sitting in artificial light, getting in the car, going home, and repeating it all over again. So
Totally.
the
So
world
true.
we live in is not created for us humans to thrive
No,
and be
no,
healthy.
no. It was originally designed for factory workers on a production
Absolutely.
line.
Yes,
That's where it came from, the Industrial
it
Revolution.
absolutely
And
was.
we haven't changed it, and yet we've evolved. Work has evolved so much since then, and I think that's why, organizations that have taken the bold step of doing like 4-day working weeks
Yeah,
or allowing flexi time. And I think, COVID had an impact in terms of working from home, but I'm talking more about how your day runs as opposed to
absolutely.
what your week looks like. And that flexibility of 4 on, three off, 4 on, as opposed to 5-2, I think is a step in the right direction because
It
it
so
gives,
is.
it just allows that little bit more control, and people thrive on being able to control their own
They
work instead of someone
do.
telling them what to do. And I think if
Absolutely.
you've got your owls and your larks, and people run on different circadian rhythms, and yet the Western world's expecting everybody to be a lark, and that's
Yeah,
just not possible. So
it's
it's almost
absolutely
like
not.
another layer over that in terms of where you're coming from, what you're
Yeah.
saying, and how society just hasn't evolved to accommodate these needs.
No, they haven't. And more women are just, feeling so stressed out and overwhelmed and overweight, and they can't figure out why they can't make changes or the
Mm,
system doesn't allow them to. So
mm,
generally, when I start working with them and I start educating them around their natural rhythms of their biology, they go, "Oh, I'm not aligned with work anymore." And I have had clients literally change careers.
yeah, yeah,
Change jobs, start their own businesses to have more flexibility and freedom in their lives
brilliant.
because they want to start aligning their lives with their natural rhythms and biology and their
Mm,
health. And they
mm,
realize that the corporate world that this system wants them to be in is just
mm,
no longer serving them and they cannot go on any longer. I
mm,
love it when
mm.
people have that realization
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
means they're going to have a healthier life, which is
It's
what we want
awesome,
from
isn't it?
clients, right?
It,
Yeah.
the great thing is you can see them reflecting as week to week you catch up
Yeah.
with them. I've had the same thing, and I've had clients do exactly that. They've either shifted roles or they've shifted out of corporate
Yes.
life, and
Yeah.
you see the realization that the message you're sending them means that there's it doesn't work, and so they realize that they need to make a big life change, and that's super empowering.
It
Thinking
is.
or being aware that you've had a hand in that change.
Absolutely. And that's why having a coach is such a valuable
Mm,
thing, right? As a personal trainer, as a nutritionist, as a coach, as a health professional, you serve such a massive purpose in everybody that you work with life. Because when someone starts to work on their health and well-being, that opens a portal to so many other things in that person's life.
yeah.
And that is why so many people have these incredible breakthroughs, because when they're healthier, they're thinking clearer. When they're eating better and their digestive system isn't so effed up,
Mm,
they start to think clearer and they start to make better decisions for themselves. So,
mm,
as a health professional, the impact you have on someone's life is just invaluable, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Um, you're also a podcast as well, I see. Well Body Podcast for
Well
people who
Body
want,
podcast.
yeah, who want to tune in. What sort of advice or what can they expect to hear on that, Renee?
So, my podcast has been on a journey. It's had many different names, and I've finally settled with the name Well Body Podcast
Yeah. Yeah.
because my goal is to inspire women to have a well body all round, right? So,
Mm,
if someone was to tune into that podcast, we talk about menstrual cycles a lot. We talk about nutrition, we talk about fitness, and we talk about other wellness practices that involve maybe a little bit of spirituality as well.
yeah.
So there's a lot of me just talking on that podcast,
Mm,
and I've got a few guests involved on that podcast as well. But it's interesting because I have old episodes that I started ages ago, and then I kind of like shelved them for a while. And you'll probably notice a bit of a trend in like the changes of how I roll,
yeah.
which is quite cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But now everything, it's definitely quite a holistic podcast about nutrition, fitness, and overall well-being,
Great stuff.
but really
Definitely.
niche to women.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That's good. And I see you're very active on social media as well, and using that as a way of getting your message across in terms of that holistic approach and encouraging a lot of strength work.
Yeah.
What would be your message that sort of is underlying all of that social content?
So with all my social media content, I guess what I'm trying to put the message out there is I just want women to move their body more. I just want women to be aware of what's going on with their body. And I just want women to know how important it is to eat well. So
Mm,
with those three things
mm,
and cultivating a good mindset as well, but that is what I'm trying to put out there, as well as kind of putting a bit of my own stuff in there of showing people that this is what I do too, practicing what I preach. So my message is just basically, I just want women to understand the importance of how they need to live a healthier lifestyle if they want to
yeah,
feel good, if they want to see results in their life in all areas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw one of your testimonials, I think it was, where one of your ladies is not afraid to eat ice cream anymore. So she
Yes.
realizes she doesn't have to give it up, but
No,
there's less guilt
exactly.
around that.
Yeah, it's just understanding how nutrition works as well with that, right? It's going, yes, we need to prioritize whole foods. That is so incredibly important because we need to make sure our body's getting enough macro and micronutrients to thrive. We need macronutrients for our energy. We need macronutrients for our muscle growth. We need macronutrients for our hormone health. But we need micronutrients to support all of that. So,
Mm,
yes, that is our priority. But if 10% of the time we want to eat a bit of ice cream, we want to have some chocolate, we want to go out and have a good time, we want to go out for dinner, that is okay. And it's
mm,
letting go of the fear, guilt, and shame around that. So once people understand that
mm.
philosophy, but they hear it from a coach, they go, oh my God, I feel so liberated because I can actually do that.
Yeah,
And for so many years, and still now to this day, women are told what they have to wear, have to eat, how they have to look, and they're so confused.
yeah, yeah.
So confused.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And I know it's probably the same for men as well. I guess as I'm, because my niche is helping women, I am very like passionate about talking about that, about women right now.
Yeah.
But man, I was watching TV the other day for the first time in a long time. And an ad that came on, it was a Thin Lizzy ad on like, this is what the
Mm,
face looked like before. This is
mm,
what the face looked like after with makeup. And it's like,
mm.
what is the message you're putting out there to women? You're trying to tell them they can't show up looking natural. Is that not enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do they have to put a whole face full of makeup on right now to be validated and look better and, show up better? So I just, yeah, women are
I
so
think
confused. That's why
I,
I'm just forever trying to put the message out there that it's
yeah,
going to be okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting that the longer you spend doing the sorts of things that we do, and particularly with that holistic focus, and the more the adverts pop up, and you kind of immediately sense the underlying message, what they're
Oh,
trying,
you do.
rather than just the superficial. It's. all it is alcohol adverts at the moment. I'm just seeing every single brand, good times, New Zealand's best, beer. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness, that's the fourth alcohol ad, and obviously that's mainstream, right? That's how everything rolls. But when you sort of look at things slightly differently, you realize it's like, oh my goodness, you could
yeah,
easily just keep being swept along with all this.
absolutely. I call it you've woken up. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like you've learned
mm,
so much, you've dived into so much research, you've worked with so many people, you wake up to the reality of what's actually going on.
mm, mm. A couple of other things that popped into my head. So one was mindset in terms of you talked about, with the right mindset, anything can be achieved.
Yeah.
I've always found that to be the biggest challenge. I think the physical stuff's relatively straightforward,
Mhm.
but when that's not right, pointing to my head, it's like pushing it uphill with anybody, any client, isn't it?
It is.
Are there any sort of things that you found have worked for you in terms of helping someone shift that mindset to a place where they're unstoppable?
Yeah. So I always say to my clients that the work that you do is 80% mindset, 20% technical action.
Mm,
You can have all the nutrition plans under the sun. You can have all the workout programs under the sun. You can have all the fancy gear in your garage, whatever. But if you haven't got the right mindset,
mm,
none of that is going to work,
yeah,
right? So when it comes to mindset, I have a minimum requirement when I work with someone, minimum 20 weeks.
right.
That they have to work with me for at least 20 weeks
Yeah,
before they can decide that they no longer want to work with me. And the reason I have
right.
20 weeks in
I
place
like it.
is because you cannot transform someone's life in 6 weeks,
No.
2 weeks, a few sessions.
Mm,
It takes time. So when I'm working with these people, I'm constantly checking in with them every single week. And with that, I am giving them constant feedback on how to improve certain things and beliefs that they have around their mindset.
hmm
And so the more and more and more I work with these people, and the more and more and more I'm giving them feedback, the more and more they start to adopt that mindset.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I've got this one client who I'd send their feedback form every Sunday, and all the responses start to come into my inbox by Monday. I give everyone feedback Tuesday. Um, One of the ladies said today, it's only 4 weeks, and already I've just changed my mindset so much around that this journey is not about perfection, it's about progress because that's what you keep telling me. So the more and more I get into these people's minds about how they
Yeah.
need to show up, the more and more they start to believe it.
Brilliant.
So it takes time and
Mm,
patience and remembering that it is a journey and remembering that it is all about progress and not perfection. And the
yeah.
more they start to understand this, the less they feel less heavy around what they have to do.
Mm,
So it's a
mm, mm.
practice and it takes
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And I think, like you say, it takes time, and what you're doing is you're reprogramming their
Yes,
subconscious mind. You're changing their language and their thinking.
absolutely.
And
I make my clients do gratitude every single day. Not that I don't always do it every day, and that's okay.
yep,
But
yep.
gratitude is something I make sure they do because
Mm,
when you start the day with a positive tone, or you end the day in a positive tone,
mm,
what's going to happen? Things are going to feel lighter. Things are going to feel easier. I also get them I send them like podcasts and things like that to listen to, depending
yeah.
on the bit of the tone. So if their
Mm,
feedback form has been quite negative, I'm going
mm,
to obviously reinforce it with a real positive, and I
mm.
might send them a podcast or something to listen to. I'm always giving my clients homework.
Cool. Yep,
They're
yep.
on a journey to learn with me. They're not here just to like lose weight in 8 weeks. They're here to
Yeah.
change their mindset.
Yeah.
And another thing that I really encourage is daily affirmation. So if someone is telling themselves, I still feel fat and ugly, which
Mm,
unfortunately that sounds horrible for me to say, but unfortunately is the reality of a lot of women's mindsets. I'm
mm.
telling them that they need to say to themselves every single day as many times as they can, you are the most beautiful woman in the world and you can do anything you put your mind to. So whatever the affirmation is
Yep.
that aligns with them, it's
Yep.
on their mirror, they're saying it daily, and I'm
Yep.
reminding that affirmation to them daily as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all these little things and little habits that people get into are going to help them to develop and cultivate a better mindset around what they're doing. Another really important thing for people to remember is that when you're showing up to a workout or you're making a meal, it's telling your body that what you're doing is amazing. It's telling your body that what you're doing in that moment is going to give your body incredible results. But
Yeah.
if you go into that workout and go, oh, there's no point, I can only do 2 workouts this week, it's useless. Well, what do you think's going to happen to your body? What do you think your mind's going to
Mm,
absorb and
mm.
adopt when that's happening?
Mm.
So mindset is everything.
Yep.
But it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a byproduct of you showing up and doing the things and putting those tools in place to help cultivate a more positive mindset.
Mm.
I have a lot of people that say to me, "Oh, you're so positive, you're so positive." And I'm like, hasn't happened overnight. It's a
Yeah.
byproduct of me over the last 10 years, consistently showing up to my own coach, studying, reading, learning, absorbing. Like it takes
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my spiel on
Love it.
mindset,
Love
but it's a
it.
practice.
That was that. Yes, I'm glad I asked the mindset question. Um, so the other one that was in my on my mind was the platform. You talked about you running a platform,
Yeah.
and obviously that's how you connect with your online, your virtual clients. Is that one of those platforms that you can customize with your own
Mm,
branding and all that sort of
yes.
stuff? Yep.
Keep it simple. Honestly, you
Yep.
don't need to go and create a fancy app. You don't need to go and like develop software.
Yeah.
You can create a successful online business, whether it's a hybrid approach, whether it's using it with your in-person clients, whether it's all online. I use Trainerize. It's a
Oh,
fantastic
okay.
platform.
Okay.
I pay for the customized app version so I can
Yep.
customize it to be on the body. My clients love the app. I've had clients finish their 20-week programs and go, "Can I just pay to use this app consistently now?"
Ah.
You know what I mean? They
Yep.
love having that accountability there. The
Yep.
great thing about the app as well is that you're not talking to bots, you're talking to the coach behind the app. So people
Right.
love that personalized approach. It has a
Yep.
calendar, you can schedule everyone's workouts in, you can video yourself doing the exercises to create everyone's workouts.
Yep.
Everything is very customized, which is
Mm,
awesome.
mm.
So I
Okay.
use that app. However, for my nutrition plans, that's
Mm,
different. I don't like to use the generic nutrition plans within the app. So I
mm.
actually have a platform that I use to create those plans called That Clean Life, where I create the plans. So That Clean Life program platform makes it look really nice, but I'm still creating the meal plan based on the client's goals and needs.
Sure.
I feel like generic meal plans just
Mm,
aren't what
mm.
it doesn't align with me.
Yep.
I need to be
Yep.
giving someone something I've created.
Yeah.
Um, so when I'm working with someone, Trainerize is the platform we use, but it's called Beyond the Body app.
Yeah.
I also use Dropbox, and everyone has their own personal folder with
Yep.
all of their data in that folder. So if they
Sure.
need their meal plans, it's all in their Dropbox. If they need their extra resources, it's all in their Dropbox. If
Brilliant.
I've said I've put some more recipes in your Dropbox, they know where to go to get everything. It's all in one place.
Yep.
So we're
Yep.
using Trainerize and Dropbox,
Perfect.
pretty
Yeah.
much the
Great. Nice
platform.
and nice and efficient.
Simple, simple, simple. And that is like the key thing we need to remember is just not overcomplicating things and just
Yeah.
keeping it simple because
Yeah.
simple is
Yeah.
genius.
Absolutely.
Simple
Absolutely.
works.
All the best ideas are.
Yeah, they are, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Tips time.
All right.
What have you got, Renee? I'm sure, well, you've sprinkled quite a number throughout the conversation already,
Yeah. I
but
hope people have taken some nuggets here from what we've
yeah.
spoken about
Oh, I
today.
have.
But
Good.
I love it. The most important thing for all coaches, health professionals out there is just to believe in yourself.
Mm,
You need
mm,
to
mm,
back yourself and know that what you're doing is is such high value and it is a massive purpose and people need you. Whether you're having a bad day, self-doubt, whatever it is you're going through, just remember that you're changing lives. Whether it's one person's life, 10 people, whatever,
mm.
what you do is so valuable and you need to remind yourself that daily. Just like getting your clients to do gratitude and affirmations, you need to do that for yourself as a professional. You need to do that for yourself in your business every single day because it is not easy and there are going to be days where it's hard, but it's just remembering that this is a journey just as much as someone's health and well-being journey. So
Mm,
back
mm.
yourself, believe in yourself, and never, ever, ever change what you're doing just because of the thoughts of others. And I'll give a quick little story. Is when I first
Mm.
told my parents, and I love my parents to bits, they support me so much. But when I first told them that I wanted to be a personal trainer, and I started off at uni doing a Bachelor of Education, doing the societal like good thing, going to uni, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I was at the gym more than I was, showing up for my classes. So I told my parents, hey, I'm going to drop out. I'm going to become a personal trainer. And this course is $10,000. They were like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. This is really, I just feel so called to do this. And they're
Mm,
like, you don't make money doing that, da 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 da. And so many other people said the same thing. There was not much belief in
mm,
this
mm,
career path.
mm.
I believed in myself, and that's all that mattered. And yeah, now those people believe in me massively because they've seen the results.
Yeah.
But you can't make a decision in your business based on the thoughts and feelings of
Oh,
others. You've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to do
yeah.
what feels right for you. And if it feels so good that you're like, I have to do this no matter what, then go for it, keep doing it, and don't give up because the result at the end, not that there is an end, it's infinite, is just going to
Mm,
be so incredibly worth it.
yeah. I love that. That's a great expansion on self-belief, not just the self-belief piece. Nice
Yeah.
one. Brilliant, brilliant.
Absolutely. Back yourself, 100%. Business tip, keep it simple. Simple is genius. I have done so many very complicated things over my time, and it's
Mm,
probably the last 2 years where things have become more simplified. And the more simplified things have become, the more successful I am, especially with generating online clients. And just remember, you don't need to have a massive following to build an online business. You can literally get clients with 100 followers on Instagram. It's about the content you're putting out there. Is it adding value to people's lives? Keep it simple, keep your message clear. You'll be fine.
love it. Excellent. Any others on that list, Renee? Or those are two biggies?
I think that would be my two main points is
Yeah.
back yourself, believe in yourself. If it feels so right, just keep going, hang in there, you can do it. And the
Mm,
second
mm,
one is just keep things simple. And
yeah.
probably I want to add one more in there is figure
Sure.
out who you're serving, find out your niche, and start creating content and creating your business structure around that, helping that particular niche.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a gym, home studio, trainer that goes to people's homes, online coach, whatever it is that you do, start focusing on one particular niche, hone in on that niche, and watch your business transform.
Brilliant. Awesome. What a clap. Um,
Mic drop.
where can people find you, Renee?
So you can find me on Instagram, Renee Diment. That's my name on Instagram.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
simple, and that would be the best place to contact me.
Cool.
Whether you're wanting to find out about your own personal training business or you're feeling lost in the industry or whatever it is,
Mm,
flick me a DM and I'll be more than happy to have a chat. But that would be the best place to contact me.
perfect. I will drop your Insta into the show notes and people can find you that way.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. You're a busy laddie, and I know you've got family downstairs who are patiently watching TV instead of interrupting
Yeah,
our conversation. So I know how, the juggle is real.
it
So,
is.
so again, thank you very much. Have a lovely Christmas and a
Thank
lovely
you.
time off and a break. And hopefully, maybe have a second conversation some other time.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Cheers.